Rousey, and you are watching the Left Hook Boxing Show. And hey, I just had to weigh in on this controversy that is threatening to derail the fight that we all want to see between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And let me just start out by saying I can understand both sides' point of view. Floyd Mayweather, hey, you know, we talk a lot about the money. He's in it for the money. But I think this whole thing is about his legacy, his place in history. He wants to make sure if he goes in there that he protects that zero and that he doesn't go into a fight where somebody's taking performance enhancing drugs. And I can understand that. A lot's at stake for him. But I can also see Manny Pacquiao's standpoint of not wanting to subject himself to this kind of testing at any point, at any time. I mean, what has Manny Pacquiao done to bring this on? The only thing he's done is just be good. I mean, not good, be excellent, be outstanding. One of the greatest fighters of his generation, and that has brought all this on. It's not because he's been linked to anything with steroids or anything like that. And a lot of people are saying, well, if he has nothing to hide, well, go ahead and take the test. But let me just say this. What if you were working at a job, and say your job, you build widgets, and say you worked at that company for 20 years and you built widgets faster and better than anybody at that company. And as a result, you slowly moved up to the company and you got to the point where you're about to be the CEO of the company. You've done it for so long and you've been so good at it that you're about to go up for this big promotion. And you got this other guy who's also done things for the company that you're competing against for this position. And all of a sudden this guy says, hey, before we interview for this position, I think that guy ought to take a drug test. Because he's got to be on speed. Nobody, I mean, this guy's set records building widgets. He's got to be on something because nobody can do it like that. Nobody's ever come close to that. So I think we ought to have a drug test for this position. What would you say? Oh, hey, do whatever. Let me pee in a cup, take my blood, do whatever you got to do because I have nothing to hide. No, you wouldn't do that. More than likely you'd be saying, hey, calling the news media, calling the union, doing whatever you have to do to object to that because, hey, you haven't done anything wrong and you shouldn't be subjected to that kind of test. And the other thing is, where does it stop? What if, after Pacquiao, say, agreed to this, what if Richard Schaefer, who's negotiating the fight for Mayweather, what if he gets a call from some scientist and he says, hey, they got this new designer steroid out and it can only be detected by taking stool samples. So what's Pacquiao supposed to say then? Hey, come on over, let me spread my butt cheeks, dig up inside me, get whatever you want because I have nothing to hide. I mean, come on, where does it stop? And it doesn't stop if you allow a fighter to dictate the terms of testing. Okay, and other folks have said about Pacquiao, logically, it's not right. He's worried about it making him weak before a fight, and he's only taking a small amount of blood. Well, let me ask you something. Everything in your life doesn't go by logic, does it? What about flying? A lot of people are afraid of flying, and it's the safest way to transport yourself. But does that matter to you? No, it doesn't matter to you. Look at a guy like John Madden, a very intelligent football coach. He never wanted to fly because he's afraid of flying. It's not logical. It's just within him. So just because Pacquiao doesn't like getting his blood taken, it's not maybe logical that he doesn't. Hey, you can't fault a guy for this. Hey, they got this H1N1 flu virus vaccine out, and there ain't no way in hell I'm taking that thing because I'm afraid it's going to kill me. And maybe it's not logical, but it's just the way I feel. And all of you out there, I'm sure, have some similar thing about you that doesn't go by logic. It's just the way you feel, and you don't want to do it. Another thing that got me is Richard Schaefer said, hey, all these athletes, world-class athletes, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, when they competed in the Olympics, they subjected themselves to the same kind of testing. Oh, really? Do you really think so? Do you really think that prior to the Olympic Games, or during the Olympic Games, that somebody walked up to Kobe Bryant's door and knocked on it at 3 in the morning, got him out of bed and said, "Hey, I need to take your blood"? I doubt it. They gave him a little more respect than that because this is a legend, it's a world-class athlete. And I think we ought to give Manny Pacquiao a little more respect than this. Now, I can understand this testing, and Bob Arum has kind of said this as well. If you don't like the testing that the Nevada Commission is doing, then say, "Hey, Commission, we've got some evidence that you could be taking drugs and it not be detected by the testing that you guys are using, so we need more testing." And you petition them to do it, and then if you had good evidence, I would think that they would do it. But the problem comes is when you allow a fighter to dictate the terms of a fight when it comes to drug testing. It shouldn't be done that way. I was a manager for many years, and one thing I knew, man, is you never applied one rule to one person and not apply it to other people. When you did, you had chaos, man. You would have people calling the corporate office above your head and all kinds of things like that because you're trying to apply a rule to one person and not to everybody else. And the one thing I was always preached is you gotta be fair and consistent. And in the example I used before, if the drug test, if the corporation said, "Hey, before you get considered for this position, you've got to take a drug test," and that was known, everybody knew it, well, you'd be okay with it. But the problem comes when you allow somebody you're working with, somebody at your level, to start trying to dictate terms like that for drug testing. It's just not right, and it shouldn't be done. So that's the way I feel about it. I hope this fight happens. Two great fighters. I have a feeling it's going to happen. I really think that, I mean, I have to give this to Schaefer. I think he is really trying to negotiate this fight, and he's willing to bend. And I think Freddie Roach has said, he even said one place I heard that, hey, 5 days up to the fight, we'll give a test. So hopefully this thing is going to get worked out. I think it will. But I see both points of view, but my point is, if you're going to change the rules, it needs to be overseen by a body like the Athletic Commission for the state. And if it isn't, it just causes chaos, and I can understand why Pac-Man's upset. I understand why Mayweather's trying to get it done, because he's trying to get whatever advantage he can get, but it ain't right, and it needs to go through the commission. That's the way I see it. This is Renegade. I'm out.